What's good, guys? Welcome back to Behind the Dugouts, and I hope you are keeping well. Now, as you can see, it's not just me today. I am joined by my good friend, Matt from the Stamford Sync.
Hey, man.
How you doing, mate?
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me.
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. Thanks very much for having me on the channel. Absolute pleasure.
Yeah, no, Matt, we've been obviously talking about it for a while. It's good to finally get you on it. So much to talk about. How are you feeling after becoming world champions, mate?
Oh, mate, I love it, man.
I'm going to keep saying it.
Do you know what? I've taken it even further as well. So I did a collab with a friend of mine who's an Arsenal fan the other day. And I said to him, so we're champions of the world and by extension, the galaxy, and by extension, the universe. Because as far as we're concerned, there's no other football teams anywhere. So this competition actually makes Chelsea champions of the universe. And I love that.
You got to get that on a tee. You get that on a t-shirt and wearing it for the entire season there. I'll take that. Rather universe than world. No, but the game itself, man, I mean, there was lots to talk about in terms of player performance, even manager performance, and what he did tactically. But just, did you expect that kind of performance from them in that game?
No, I didn't at all. Another collab I did was, I don't know if did you see the one I did with the French guy, Quentin from Red and Blue?
Yeah.
He obviously, we did predictions in that game and I was like, I think PSG are going to win 2-1 and I think we might get like a scrappy Cucurella goal or something. But I just assumed they were going to pin us back for the whole game. And when it was like, half an hour in and we were 3 goals up, I was sat there, I was like, absolutely couldn't believe it. It was amazing.
It was really good to watch. And to be fair, I think that's pretty much not just the Chelsea fan base, but I think that's pretty much how everybody saw it, that if we were going to get anything out of it, it was going to be a scrappy thing. Nobody turned up. Nobody thought we were going to turn up like that. And, you know, it was beautiful to watch. But it's begged a lot of questions because stylistically, it looked completely different. I don't know about how you feel. It didn't look like the normal Maresca style of play. And could this be a change?
I saw the lineup with Reece James in midfield and Malo Gusto at right back, and I groaned audibly out loud. I was like, oh, no. And I was just like, we're going to get absolutely torn apart, aren't we? But I think the thing is, you know, despite seeing that, Gusto didn't do the I'm a right back and a number 8 and a shadow striker and a left winger and whatever. Do you know what I mean? Gusto played as a right back for that entire game. And obviously our first goal came from Gusto being an actual normal right back. So instantly within that, just from that first goal and just from the first, and obviously the first 10 minutes, like they could barely get the ball off us. And it was just very like solid, wasn't it? It was very solid. Everyone was kind of sticking to their roles. And that is, you know, it was a bit different from the chaos we've seen Maresca quite often try and create. So yeah, it was a bit mind blowing, really.
No, definitely. There was definitely a tactical switch, and I think we've all had our criticisms on Gusto.
Yeah.
You know, especially this season.
Yeah.
But it's not just been down to him; it's been down to the way that he's been, you know, deployed
100%.
and used throughout the games, and the system and the style. It didn't look like it was suiting him, and what he was being asked to do just might have been too much. But when you strip it back and you play the way that we did in the final, and you get him to do his natural bombing up and down the wing, getting in behind, you know, he took, what's it, Nuno Mendes? Yeah. You know, it's still coming out of his back pocket. Yeah. I think he's followed him on holiday at the moment.
He's literally like lint.
That's when he's at his best. You know, I think, and if you remember under the Poch era, the link up on that right hand side between Cole Palmer and Gusto,
it was good.
That season was amazing, and you know it was all coming down through them, and you saw glimpses of it again.
Yeah, for sure,
against PSG, and that's when they looked best. They took that one player, they isolated him in a pocket, and they just toyed with him the whole game, and it did work really, really well, and it could beg the question that maybe I don't think he's going to change completely. No. I think it's also based on the opponent that we played. I think because PSG are not a low block team.
Yeah.
It allowed us to play in that type of way, but I think it could potentially be one of those where if we're coming up against a low block, we'll switch stylistically, and then if we're coming up against a team that is going to be, you know, more possession based and wanting to get in your face a bit more, I think we could see this again, especially with some of the players that we're being linked to at the moment. It's not the normal players that you would you would expect a Maresca system to have.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of them being Javi Simmons and Morgan Rogers, these inside 10s and
unlockers, man, unlockers. I think
can play. Yeah.
I think it's interesting as well because it's like although we're looking really, really good at the moment, the likes of Liverpool and Man City in their pomp, they don't necessarily have to change their tactics so much based on the team that they're playing, because they can cut through a low block and they can go toe to toe with a team that's playing fast, aggressive football or lots of possession, just by kind of sticking to their styles, do you know what I mean, without having to adapt. But because we've still got some holes in our team and we've still got some areas for growth, like centre-back seems like a really obvious one. Don't get me wrong, I think Levi Colwill was amazing, but we're not talking about him in the same breath as even like a Saliba or a Gabriel at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Maybe he can get there, but I think because we've still got some areas that are developing in our squad, being able to change adapt to your kind of tactical structure is probably what we're going to have to do to be successful until all of the players have reached that level where Maresca wants them to be, and we can just play the style that he wants us to, and it will get us through a low block and it allows us to go toe to toe. I think it's what it is really good for me is to see Maresca is not as stubborn as we were kind of led to believe by Leicester fans. And obviously it's not that he was stubborn for them. Do you know what I mean? He didn't change his tactics at all, and we've seen a bit of that ourselves. But it's the same. It's a bit similar to Postecoglou, isn't it? Like, yes, he's got his style, but when there's a trophy on the line, he'll adapt.
Yeah. And I think it's also down to the players you've got. Like, let's be real, Leicester's not going to have as much capable players as the Chelsea squad do. They will have to fit a certain system. But if you're looking at trying to change the way that you're playing mid-game or throughout the season, and you haven't got the players that can adapt to that because they're not at that ability level, it does make it can make it difficult for the manager. So maybe that's why he was so stubborn at Leicester. I mean, he was stubborn for a time at Chelsea, but especially the back end of the season, there has been a switch.
Yeah, it was rough.
Even, manager-wise, but players is mentally. And I mentioned it quite a while back. You remember the Willie Issa come in around February time?
Yeah.
And was brought in for a mentality switch.
The rugby guy, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And since then, there's definitely been a click mentally wise for the players. And then I think that's allowed Maresca to tinker a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's used this tournament to try things, and tried thing he has. And he's done pretty well.
Yeah, man.
No one expected us to go in and win that.
Champions of the universe, mate.
And we did. Honestly, Conference League, I think, we were in it. We had to win it.
Yeah.
There was inexcusable if we didn't. But it was one of those where you watch it, you watch the trophy lift. Yeah, it's great. 10 seconds later, you're like, okay.
Yeah, done. Right. Yeah, forgettable. But
it doesn't have the same effect.
No.
But this, even though they want to play it down and call it a Mickey Mouse tournament, it's still champions of the world, universe, galaxy, whatever you want to call it. We're still that. So I don't care what the other fan base want to call it.
So do you think that this is like indicating, like, especially with some of the players we've been linked to and stuff, do you think this is starting to show that things are going to change next season? Like, or are we just going to go back to byline wingers, centre-backs passing it side to side, slowing things down? Or do you think that this PSG game was a sign of maybe something's going to change?
Yeah, I personally do think it's going to be a different season.
Yeah.
Mainly because the players are coming in are different. Like, they're not the same type of players that we were looking at last year. The only thing that's similar is the age. That's literally the only thing that's similar. But in terms of the different abilities and things, the biggest thing I can say that we are looking for at the moment is just versatility, like across the board. And that is going to lead into how we're going to do next season and the way that Maresca is going to play. And I don't know, how are you feeling about next season? What are you predicting wise? Do you think it's going to be a really good season for us, or do you think it's going to be another one? Because again, lots of new players coming in.
Yeah. If
he is going to change stylistically, there's a massive change again. And, we've been saying for the last year, when a new manager comes in and new players, they've got to adapt. They've got to, this is a season to build. I don't think we can do that anymore. I think we've got to. I don't know how you're feeling, but
So I
I don't think we can go in.
I feel like the signings that we're going to make now, like from here onwards, aren't going to move the needle. I think I think the things that we've already seen and what is going to make the difference. Now, I'll say it right now. I don't think we're going to challenge realistically for an actual Premier League next season. I think we have it in us to finish in the top 3 somewhere. If we have a stellar season, do you know what I mean? And I think we can get to the quarters in the Champions League and maybe go on a cup run. And for me, this season is more about cement. Like, we scraped into the Champions League last season. Do you know what I mean? We literally barely got there. It was the last game of the season that told us whether that was going to happen. And it was even like there were so many other things that could have happened. Obviously, if we won, we got in. But there were, what I want to see next season is us being solidly in the top 3, 4 without needing to worry about results that are going on around us by the end of the season. And so I think this will have been out by the time that this comes out, but I did a collab with Jan from Football Therapy, and he put it in a really interesting way, right? He said that last season we got 69 points, which was 6 points more than we got the season before, which was 63. So if we add another 6 points on top of that, that takes us to 65. And the last time we won the Premier League was with 74 points, right? So that it's an interesting way of looking at it. And for me, 74 points is probably going to solidify us in the top 4 next season, I think. So I'm not 100% convinced that, look, crazier things have happened, man. Leicester won the Premier League, do you know what I mean? And Tottenham have just won a trophy, do you know what I mean? So obviously, we are living in a mental world where crazy things can happen. But I'm trying to be realistic, and I don't want to be disappointed if I tell myself we're going to go challenge for the title and then we don't win it. Do you know what I mean? So I would be happy for us to finish 2nd or 3rd. At the end of the day, if we get in top 4, then that's consistent, which is part of the process, right? And it's not just about scraping in there, it's about staying in there. But I would like to see us do that and a little bit more. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting season. Champions League quarters, like I say, maybe, so Maresca absolutely dunked the Carabao Cup last year, didn't he? He was just like, no, don't want it. Just don't care. Just going to put rubbish players on. I'm not going to make any subs for the entire game. Do you know what I mean? It was just really evident, although he said otherwise. In his
sacrificial lamb, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, 100%. But I don't think we'll do stuff like that this year. I do think that winning a trophy is important, because then we've won silverware 2 seasons in a row. Even if it isn't the highest honours, it's still part of that building thing, isn't it? So what about you, man? What do you think? How are you feeling about next season's potential opportunity?
I'm not going to lie, I'm feeling pretty confident.
Okay.
I am. And I may still be running off the emotion from the Club World Cup, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, of course.
Which, when the season starts, it may die down a little bit, but I do agree that we need to win another trophy next year or next season.
Yeah,
we have to keep that continuity up. Yeah. The players have tasted winning now. Mm-hmm. They've tasted it. They want it more. So you had a few players in the squad that had won things prior, but it's now throughout the team. So they're going to want to win more. And we don't want to scrape by top 4, get that. But I also don't want the team to get into a mentality where top 4 is enough. It's not. No. It's
such a dig at Arsenal.
It may be the luxury that I know. You can tell that I'm going to dig at Arsenal all the time. I can't help myself.
I love it, man. I love it. It's part of the parcel, man.
It's one of those things. Like, I don't want to get. And again, I know we've had the Abramovich era, and we were lucky to have that in a sense, because he come in out of nowhere and got us to where we are. Mm-hmm. But that DNA is instilled for 20 odd years now, and that's what we expect as a club, and the standards have been set at that level. And over the last 3 years, the standards have dropped and the expectations have dropped. And when pressure makes diamonds, and we've been criticizing the owners for, and fully deserved, because they have made some shocking decisions, but they've also made some really good ones in the players that they brought in. And I do think financially we're in a better position than we've ever been. Considering when the PSR things come out, we were top
Yeah.
in the safe zone. But now that they've also experienced winning, we have to keep those standards. We have to keep those expectations. So yes, we need to go out and win. I'll be happy if we win an FA Cup. Go out and win an FA Cup. Go and win out a Carabao Cup. As long as we're keeping that mentality. But I'd like to see a title challenge at least as a bare minimum. Like, I feel like we have, with the display that we put on, and let's not forget, before we got to the Club World Cup, and this is where we were going through that period where we're starting to pick up a bit of form to get to top four, we did beat Liverpool on the way. You know, and I get it. You can go, oh, they won the title already. It doesn't matter. You still got to do it. You still got to go out and beat these teams. And even though you've won the title and you've gone, I don't need to try anymore, it still hurts being beaten. So I don't know. I feel like first or second. First is dreamland, but I feel like second is got a good opportunity. City have strengthened. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
they're not going to be as bad as they were last season.
I'm worried about City actually. I'm starting to be a little bit more worried about City than I am about Liverpool. And it's a weird one. And the thing for me is City started their rebuild 6 months ago. So it's not, and the thing that, so I have a bit of a weird thing with Liverpool, and I'll be interested if any of your guys in your comment section have something to say on this. When Liverpool bought Kerkez, Wirtz and Frimpong, I was like, oh mate, they're just going to win the title again, aren't they? But because they're keeping on going and they've got Ekitike, they're talking about still being linked with Rodrigo. There's still talks about Alexander Isak. And because they're keeping on going, I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm like, do you know what? I think that actually a little bit hurts their chances. Do you know what I mean? Because all of a sudden, then what you've got is 5-6 players who are expecting to play first team football coming in all at the same time. And if anyone knows about how difficult it is to integrate loads of players into a new team, then we do. So yeah, with City have got Aït-Nouri, Reinders and Cherki this window, and obviously they did a lot of their signings like Marmoush and some of those guys like 6 months ago, and obviously they've still got Pep, haven't they? So I'm actually starting to be a bit, this is why I'd kind of be happy with third, because if we finish third in my head, that means we finish above Arsenal, which I just want desperately, and I think first and second is going to be between Liverpool and City, but I'm starting to think City might edge it, because they've been building their new tactics and their new squad for a little while. And so they're going to be able to go into the Premier League and be like, right, this is it. This is the team. You've all played together. You've done the Club World Cup together. You know, some of you guys have been here for a long time now, and they're going to go into their first game of the season with a plan and with experience in that plan. And Liverpool, although they'll have their preseason and whatever, but Liverpool won't be afforded the exact same thing. So, and that is largely based on if Liverpool carry on buying. Do you know what I mean? If they do kind of, Ekitike's the last one or whatever, then okay, fair enough. Like 4 players or whatever isn't so much. But if they go out and get the likes of a Rodrigo and an Isaac and spend $500 million in a window, then that's where I'm like, loads of endorphins and we love transfer fun and whatever, but I just know from a Chelsea fan's perspective how difficult that can be to integrate everyone into a squad at the same time. So that's my 2 cents on the title race.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a good point, and we've also got a caveat to the Liverpool thing. One of the big things that they were saying last season, and Slot was saying it himself, that he hasn't had to change much in terms of implement his style. He sort of rode off the back of what Klopp had instilled into the players and used that to, get to the over edge with just few tweaks. Yeah. But I think this season is going to be the first season with all these new players where he's going to have to put his style in. And that, again, these, not just the new players, but the players that are there are going to have to learn this a bit more now, because they're going to have to move on from the Klopp way of playing. They are quite similar in their styles, but every manager is different. Even if it's just slight changes. I mean,
Jurgen Klopp was like heavy metal football, wasn't it? It was like press, go, go, go. Slot's a little bit more like, Slot seems like a little bit more reserved, a little bit more possession-based, but, similar schools, like you say, 100%.
Yeah, and the striker-wise, if you look at the strikers that played under Klopp and Firmino, are nothing like Hugo Ekitike or Darwin Núñez or even Alexander Isak if he was to come in, which he hopefully won't. So stylistically, in terms of players, it's different, and even the fullbacks, they're not. I mean, Frimpong and Kirkes, Andy Robinson is similar to them because they bomb and up and down, but I would definitely say they're both stylistically different to how Trent would play.
Yeah, no,
they're not players that are going to find a player of 30, 40 yards away and ping a ball. No. They're not that type of fullback.
More runners, isn't they?
So it is exactly, they bomb up and down, old fashioned fullbacks, at least from my perspective. I think that could hinder them a little bit.
Yeah,
but
okay.
yeah, City have always been scary. Just the football they play is brilliant at times, sometimes overdone in certain things. But now that they're adding these extra pieces, which they definitely need because they were riding off the back of, De Bruyne, who was getting on. And I think their biggest problem was they relied so much on Rodri.
Yeah.
And now they've brought in players that could potentially cover him when he's not available, because I think that was the whole reason why they struggled last year, is because they didn't have Rodri. And it's crazy to think that one player can do that to a team.
And Rodri's,
but then we had Hazard that did it.
Well, exactly. I think, and like I say, man, Rodri's back now as well, isn't he? And like I say, I think it's just, I don't know, man. How often have City had 2 bad seasons since Pep's been there in a row? Do you know what I mean? And I think, and I won't get into too much of this because I'm aware that we're starting to be a bit short for time. But I find the disrespect to Erling Haaland absolutely outrageous. Is like people are talking about him like he's done because he only scored 20 goals in the league this season. Do you know what I mean? So I think I think he can score 20 goals in the league and they can still win the league. Do you know what I mean? And if and Marmoush looks like an absolute beast, and obviously Cherky's looking really good too. And it's like, oh mate, I'm starting to just be scared of City again, because I think they are using the fact that people are underestimating them to build more quietly. Liverpool are being big and splashy about it, do you know what I mean? But I think we're just forgetting that Pep Guardiola's the best manager in the world, and they've got potentially one of the best strikers of the ball in the world. And they've still got a young team that's very creative. And if anything, the other thing we're not talking about is the fact that, yes, a lot of those players, your Kyle Walker and your Kevin De Bruyne, they're gone, but they've replaced them with fresh legs. Do you know what I mean? So maybe the technique isn't quite there, but what they've just brought in is a lot more athleticism. Do you know what I mean? And the players that they're bringing in are still technically very good. Phil Foden looks like he's starting to pull himself out of his slump that he's in. I think it's just all been happening really quietly in the background with City. Do you know what I mean? And no one's really talking about it as far as I can see. Everyone's talking about Liverpool and Arsenal for the most point. Do you know what I mean? But I think City, I've just got this scary feeling that City are going to come and just do it again. And we're all going to just be like, for the next 4 years. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I do get, and say I'm not going to touch on it too much, but the Haaland thing it is weird. I think people have got so into their heads that a striker's got to be able to do everything. He's got to link up. He's got to be able to run channels. He's got to be able to drop deep and, be a worldie of a finisher. A striker needs to score goals. That is what he is paid to do. And Haaland is one of the best goal-scoring strikers on the planet.
100%.
It's plain and simple. He does what he needs to do. And if I had a striker scoring 20-plus goals a season, I'll be laughing.
The thing is,
that's what you want.
If João Pedro scores 20-plus goals next season, we all call him... it's a masterstroke of a move, isn't it? And everyone waxes lyrical about how good he is. And if Haaland scores 1 goal less than him, people will go, Haaland was rubbish last year. And I just don't get it. I just don't understand the mentality. Like, I get, it's, he doesn't link play together and he doesn't ping passes and he doesn't do little 1-2s and whatever. It's like, mate, the guy scores 20 goals a season on a bad stretch. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what are we even talking about?
Yeah, I mean... City were hit with the luxury of Aguero, weren't they? Who was that type of striker.
100%.
And that is the way that they play football, which Haaland is not. And it's mainly because he's just a big lump, and he's massive. So, but for me, he scores goals, man. I'd take Haaland in a team. I don't care if my style wasn't the same as his. If he's still scoring 20-plus goals, I'm happy. I'm happy. I'll pay whatever money he wants. So it is a weird one, but... they are going to come back. They're definitely not going to have a bad season again. But if we can finish above Arsenal and get in, first, second, I'll be delighted
Yeah.
with a trophy, because we can't not win a
Yeah,
trophy next year.
that's the thing for me. 100% a trophy.
We can't.
I want to finish above Arsenal and be in the top 4, and hopefully that means third. Do you know what I mean? The second would be amazing. Third, I'd be really happy with. Fourth, I'd be okay with if we get a trophy and finish above Arsenal.
Yeah, and I think keeping that, staying in Champions League again, and with the incentive bonuses, the players want to stay in Champions League because now they've tasted the money again. Because they've got, So I do think we're going to do pretty well this season. I do think so, and from the sounds of it, so do a lot of fan bases.
Yeah, people are starting to be worried about us, man. Yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah. No, but look, we've rambled on.
Yeah, man.
And I think we could go all night, to be honest.
Yeah, easily.
So
let's wrap it up.
No, and I appreciate your time, mate. And I appreciate you coming on. For all my lovely supporters out there, please go and give Matt, have a look. I'm going to drop his channel link in the description. Go check him out. Great guy, great content. His player breakdowns and the player comparisons are really, really good to watch. Definitely go check them out. But I want to say bye to the lovely people, Matt.
Nice one. If you are here and you've not subscribed to Behind the Dugouts yet, click that button, man. Click that button. He's absolutely been a wicked chat, and you want to see more football from this guy. I promise you. I know things that you don't know. But yeah, nice one. Thanks so much for having me on the channel, man. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll have to do it again. Maybe Definitely. In the next international break or something. After the first 2 weeks, we'll have a little talk about how things are going. What do you think?
No, sounds like it's good. I always forget about internationals, but with Tuchel in charge, I'm actually pretty excited about them. So I'm not going to lie.
Same.
So definitely, we'll definitely catch up soon, guys. But that's all from me, guys. I'll hope you take care of yourselves, and I will catch you in the next one.